Majora's Mask famously carries over many assets from Ocarina of Time, but it also has some of the most unique designs out of any game in the franchise. Whole swaths of the game world are bizarre and interesting, but every time I play this game, I am constantly reminded of a few assets that appear in almost every frame. Link's swords. So grab your gold dust, collect your stray fairies, subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about some of the strangest, most unique swords in all of Zelda. Following its introduction in A Link to the Past, many of the swords throughout the series drew direct design inspiration from the Master Sword, but not Majora's Mask. While the series' other most prominent blade, the Four Sword, if you squint, more closely resembles Ocarina of Time's Kokiri Sword. Perhaps confusingly, Link's sword at the beginning of Majora's Mask is also called the Kokiri Sword, but with an obviously distinct design, swapping the wooden hilt and inset jewel for what looks like a yellow Lego brick and much more blue. Considering they share the same name, it is unclear whether or not this is a reforged version of its Ocarina counterpart, and considering the game's time-constrained development, it is all the more unclear why the swords share a name and not a model, even though they also both do the same one-time space damage. But here's where things get particularly interesting. In Ocarina of Time, there are 3 swords, 2 of which, the Kokiri Sword and Master Sword, are required. The Biggoron Sword is only acquired if you want to go through the long trading sequence that ends in the reforging of the Giant's Knife in what is Zelda's very first instance of weapon durability. However, in Majora's Mask, there are a total of 5 different swords, and only one, the Kokiri Sword, is required. Speaking of weapon durability, once you make your way to Snowhead, you can find the Mountain Smithy and, in exchange for goats to feed or hot spring water and 100 rupees, upgrade the Kokiri Sword to the Razor Sword, doubling Link's damage, the same as Ocarina of Time's Master Sword. This is also one of the only times in the game, alongside this sword's next upgrade, where Link will have to go a day swordless. Now I know what you're thinking. The Razor Sword, with its amber accents and notched double blade that resembles an actual razor, mind you, is one of the best looking swords in Zelda. I agree, the player's guide agrees, the official art agrees, but the monkey's paw curls, and after 100 hits, the blade chips and dulls, reverting back to the Kokiri Sword. Additionally, if time is reset to day 1 before this 100 hit limit, when Link leaves the clock tower, it will be with the Kokiri Sword. However, with Goat Slain, a powder keg in tow, and a first place finish in the Goron race, Link will receive gold dust, which, once again at the Mountain Smithy, will freely upgrade the Razor Sword to the permanently durable, time travel approved Gilded Sword. The Gilded Sword not only sports the longest reach of any sword so far, but also deals 3 times as much damage as the Kokiri Sword, making it stronger than the Master Sword. From a design perspective, it is one of the more ornate-seeming swords. The long silver blade crisscrossed with gold diamonds would fit perfectly in the hands of one such rhomboid bespeckled demon lord. The intricate crossguard that looks like a pair of arms raised in a shrug, a hilt with hints of red and a big gold diamond. For some reason, it always felt to me like it belonged in the same category as the magical sword on the box art of Zelda 2, equally sleek but less gaudy. Speaking of gaudy, having returned all 15 stray fairies to the Great Fairy of Kindness in Ikana Canyon, Link will be gifted the Great Fairy Sword, one of the most unique and, quite frankly, bizarre-looking swords in the series. Its leafy green hilt and Pavonine blade resemble a blooming flower, further emphasized by the inlaid twin roses. While there is nothing else quite like it, its multicolored design always reminds me of other N64-specific Zelda assets, like the bridge that connects the mainland to Ganon's floating castle, and the final boss fight room against Majora. Functionally, it is the Majora's Mask equivalent of the Biggoron Sword. It is huge and requires Link to use both hands to swing it, sacrificing the ability to shield in order to deal 4 times the damage of the Kokiri Sword, the same as the Biggoron Sword. What makes it so strange is that while every other sword in Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask is swung using the B button, the Great Fairy Sword is equipable like the rest of Link's arsenal, to the C buttons. Lastly, and perhaps most infamously, is the swirling sword of fierce deity Link. Having collected and exchanged all of his masks, Link is gifted the Fierce Deity mask by the Moonchild wearing Majora's Mask. This allows Link to transform into a literal god during any of the game's boss battles. In this form, Link also wields the Fierce Deity Sword, otherwise known as the Double Helix Blade, otherwise known, in French, as the Broadsword of the Demon God, a massive helix of teal and cream capable of converting magic power into a lasered buzzsaw. Both the magic laser and the sword deal 4 times damage, making each separately as strong as the Biggoron Sword and Fairy Sword, but can combine to do 8 times damage. Like these other 2 swords, it too must be wielded with both hands. But as incarnated Death, Destroyer of Worlds, defense is not a variable in this overpowered equation. Though its design gets a bit of welcome detail in later installments, it does appear as an amiibo item in Breath of the Wild and as a quest reward in Tears of the Kingdom, it is definitely heavily carried by the mystique of Fierce Deity Link himself. When you see this sword carried by this guy, it looks out of place. When you see this sword carried by this guy, no sword is more fitting. Again, with so little time between games, it's amazing how much was added in Majora's Mask, especially in the sword department when it arguably didn't need to have such a diversity, considering one sword lasts 100 hits, one is a weird hybrid sword item, and one is hardly ever used, and only one is required. But it's also strange to think that the variety of so many swords is something that wouldn't really be seen again until the era of the Wilds games, which took options and durability to a completely different stratosphere. Though I might argue the uniqueness of the design of swords in Majora's Mask may even eclipse those games. I suppose if I were to rank them based on aura, as the kids say, it would look a little something like this. What's your favorite sword or new asset from Majora's Mask, and why? Oh, and a special thanks to Aaron DC83, the very first member of the channel. Thanks, my guy. If you'd like to further support the channel or talk more Zelda on the Discord, links to both can be found in the description. Thanks for watching.